Hey everyone, welcome to the latest installment of The Way It Is, and I'm your host Luke Andelfato with Remax Service First Realty. First, before we get started, I owe an apology to my audience because you didn't see a podcast last week, and that was partly by design, partly by mistake, I guess, in the sense that it's July, it's the summertime, and, we just didn't do a podcast. So I apologize for that. But hey, we're making up for it because today I'm super excited to have with me Soren Christensen from the city of Kingston and Cedric Pepelia. I'm sorry. I apologize, Cedric. And you even coached me through the pronunciation before we got on air. So I apologize for that. And we're here to talk about, because these two chaps are basically the backbone of Better Homes Kingston program. And this is a local improvement financing program that encourages homeowners to undertake deep energy retrofits. And homeowners who participate in the program will qualify for up to $40,000 in loans at 0% interest, with the option for initial 30% upfront to prepay contractors for their services. And the project is carried out with the assistance from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, Green Municipal Fund, and endowment created by the Government of Canada. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Thanks so much for having us here, Luca. Pleasure to speak about Better Homes, and it's great to have both of us here because we really represent kind of the administrative side and then also the direct one-on-one participant relations side of things. So yeah, happy to speak about the program and get the word out. I have to say the demand has definitely been high, so we haven't been doing too much active marketing. But it's great to get some more information out about the program because I know that people are very interested.
Well, sounds good. And listen, let's start with you then, Soren. Where did this program, I guess, initiate from? What was how did it start? And give us a bit of the background to it then. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So the program's been in development for a couple of years. It launched on April 11th. But the program was initiated by council with the goal of reducing greenhouse gas emissions. That was really the focus of the program. So the 20-year goal of the program beyond the pilot phase that we're in now is to retrofit 20 to 50% of Kingston's pre-1991 construction one-family homes, achieving a carbon reduction impact of 30% per home. And just to give you an understanding or an idea of how many homes that is in Kingston, there are about 24,000 one-family homes in Kingston built pre-1991. So that's the ultimate goal of the program. And right now in our pilot phase that we launched starting on April 11th, we're looking to complete about 500 plus retrofit projects over the next 4 years. Targeting that average carbon reduction impact of 30% per home. I can go on, but I'm sure there'll be lots of other questions.
Well, no, that's awesome. And then Cedric, you and I were chatting just before. You're an engineer systems technologist, correct?
Energy systems engineering technologist. I know it's a mouthful. Everyone gets it wrong. No worries. But yeah, so my background is really in energy efficiency and looking at the home really as a system, right? All of these things playing together, your insulation, your windows, your heating systems, and how to make the house, well, one, first off, more comfortable and also more efficient. So, reducing your energy bills while reducing your greenhouse gas emissions and fighting climate change.
Okay. So I'm going to ask the layperson immediate question. The average pre-1991 one family home, what's its average carbon footprint then?
Yeah, I'd say the average carbon footprint is anywhere between 6 to 10 tons of greenhouse gas emissions per year.
And that really depends on the fuel source that is being used to heat that home. So the majority of those homes would probably be heated with natural gas at this point, but there's still, especially more in rural, kind of just north of the city, homes heating with propane. And then in Kings Court, there are a few homes here and there that are using fuel oil, which has a very significant impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a quick aside, I saw a listing come up on our system the other day that in the description talked about a brand new high efficiency oil furnace, and my eyebrows just went Really? Okay. I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't want to disparage the listing or the owner or anything like that, but it certainly struck me as odd in today's world that you would reinvest in a newer high efficiency oil furnace as opposed to converting to gas. And maybe there were reasons for not converting to gas. Who knows? Okay, so you said you're busy. What are the logistics of a homeowner saying, okay, this sounds interesting to me? What's the first step? What happens?
Absolutely. So the first step is just going on the website. If you just search Better Homes Kingston on Google, it will be the first result, which is great. And yeah, you can get on the website, read more about the program. And then if you're interested, you can apply. And just to kind of offer a bit of the general background of what the program really offers. So you touched on it, up to $40,000 or 10% of your current value assessment of your home, whichever is less, in the form of a zero interest local improvement charge loan. So placed on the property, not the individual. So the benefits and the cost of that loan could either be kind of passed on to the new owner of the property if the home is sold, or it could be paid off as a condition of sale. And then there are also some really exciting incentives that are tied to a performance threshold, which is your GHG emission reduction that you achieve through going through the program. And what's really incredible about this program is these incentives can be stacked with other programs, including the Canada Greener Homes Grant. So you can get $5,600 in grants from the Canada Greener Homes Grant. And then you can also get an additional $5,000 through Better Homes Kingston. So you can get $10,000 plus in cash, as well as up to $40,000 in 0% interest loans, really making deep retrofits possible. And now just the other week, the Canada Greener Homes loan program launched, offering an additional $40,000 0% interest loan. So you can go up to $80,000, making projects that go really deep, like 80-90% GHG emissions reduction, and even installing solar and utilizing net metering. So producing your own electricity essentially and really offsetting your costs. Those kinds of projects are really possible now.
Okay, so there's some questions I'm going to get back to about that, but I'm going to bring Cedric in now because the application's online. I've submitted my application. I have a property that meets the criteria. Both of you show up on site, Cedric, or just you do the site visit? What's the next step after that then if you've been approved, let's say?
The next step is getting what's called an EnerGuide energy evaluation. So this is basically a standardized energy evaluation where a registered energy advisor, these are registered through the National Resources Canada, they would come into your home, take a whole bunch of measurements, and do a really neat test called the blower door test, which is essentially putting a large fan in the door, and it helps you find all the little air leaks that you have throughout the house. And all of that all that information gets gathered and is put into a software called HOT 2000, which is also developed by the federal government. And that will actually generate a simulation of the building, which we can then use to compare different upgrades and actually estimate what the impact of those various upgrades will be. And then as a result, you will receive a recommended upgrade report from your energy advisor that will list all the recommended upgrades along with the energy savings that could be achieved by completing them.
Okay. And actually, I'm familiar with the blower test because we deal with a lot of home builders that are Energy Star builders, and that's one of the final things they have to do to meet their Energy Star requirements for the property. So you said you're obviously, certainly the numbers are eye-catching and you're going to get people's attention, and even now, if we were live, the red lights would be flashing with the thought of $80,000 up to $80,000 available. But how many of these recommendations even fall within a $40,000 threshold, or are they always exceeding those? Where's that marriage between the funds that they're giving and the amount of work that needs to be, or the upgrades that need to be done to make a home, meet your thresholds?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And unfortunately, there's no one simple answer to that. The reality is there's a whole bunch of different things that can be done well within that $80,000 budget. Obviously, generally, the approach is to look at your insulation. So attic insulation is generally a place to start off with because it's relatively low cost, between $2,000 to $4,000. You can bump up that attic insulation relatively quickly. So that's what we call the low hanging fruit in the energy industry, as a low cost for high impact. Then once you go a bit deeper, finishing basements, insulating, your main walls. So a lot of people out of this program that are really looking to take advantage of that full 80,000 are doing full recladding. So they're actually ripping off all their siding, adding, 2 to 2.5 inches of rigid foam insulation, and then recladding the building, hopefully while replacing windows at the same time. So you ensure you have a really nice, well-sealed exterior shell to your home, or the envelope. So those are really what we're seeing a lot of people do. Obviously, the big one in terms of greenhouse gas reductions is transitioning, or what we call fuel switching. So taking out a natural gas furnace and replacing that with a heat pump. Specifically, now we have cold climate heat pumps that are designed for our climate, and then tying that with, say, an electric furnace. So those are kind of the big ones. And then really once you get down those two avenues, again, the envelope and then changing the heating system, then the last step is really installing that solar, where you can really start saving a lot of money off your electricity bill.
Now, right. So, and you're talking about switching fuel sources. So is the move to put people to switch everything to more electric and get away from the fuel sources such as propane, oil, and gas then? So even natural gas being as efficient as it is and budgetarily even, probably, I dare say even maybe a little bit cheaper than hydro right now. Hard to say. But that's the main thrust then? Is that what we're doing?
Absolutely. That is a big part of it. Just switching from your natural gas to a heat pump will reduce anywhere between 60 to 80% of your household greenhouse gas emissions. And just on the cost piece, this is always a big topic of discussion when it comes to, operating costs of natural gas versus a heat pump. And actually, NRCan, National Resources Canada, did a study out of Ottawa, even from a few years ago, where the cost was pretty much on par to operate a standalone natural gas furnace versus a heat pump with an electric furnace. The cost is about the same. And actually, just as of July 1st, the natural gas prices have increased, at least with Enbridge, have increased by 23%. And we're going to see a lot of these massive increases continue as the federal carbon tax increases as well. So the economics for the heat pump are only going to improve as time progresses.
Well, and you touched on an important point, Cedric, because having done this for as long as I've done it, for 35 years, I know in the past, we're in a climate where the first iteration or first gen, second gen heat pumps just didn't make sense in this climate, right? I mean, just you couldn't extract enough hot air out of a minus 25 degree day in January to make it make sense. So, okay, so you give these people a list of recommended improvements, I guess. They're obligated to, what are they obligated to fulfill, I guess? Or is it a la carte, or who makes those decisions?
Yeah. So it's really, it's a performance threshold in this program. So in that way, it's very flexible to an extent. So you have to meet that 20% reduction in GHG emissions. And in reality, a lot of those cases are, a lot of the projects that we're seeing are involving a heat pump installation of some sort or the other. But then beyond that, you have a lot of flexibility in the different improvements that you can choose and piece together depending on the needs of your home. So it's not tied specifically like, get a certain amount of money for a certain measure, such as in the NRCan Greener Homes program. You can access kind of more a bucket of funding to do a wider array of initiatives that you want to take on. And Cedric is obviously the expert here, but he's meeting with homeowners on a weekly, daily basis, essentially, and really walking them through for each one of their homes, what makes the most sense, how to get the best bang for their buck, and really maximize their GHG emission savings, potentially cost savings, and increase the comfort of their homes.
And I guess, you started off by saying this is 2 years in the making, this program. If I'm right, Soren, you said it was sort of in this developmental stage, I guess, and now it's unfolded. Obviously, 2 years ago, we weren't in the world we are today, given supply chain issues, given inflationary pressures. Do these numbers still make sense? Do these monetary thresholds still make sense given the cost of materials, the cost of labor, the cost of all of those things, I guess?
Yeah, so I'll jump in. Yes, that's true. The supply chains have put definitely a lot of stress on general home renovations, and talk to anyone trying to get windows nowadays. You're probably waiting close to a year to get your windows in, and the price is high. But that's, I think, actually what makes these incentives and these loans even more attractive. That cost of entry of doing these big deep retrofits, as we call it, the price has gone up, and having these support mechanisms, these financial support mechanisms, really helps people, still move forward with these projects, even despite the climate that we're in.
And I mean, listen, on the outside looking in, it obviously sounds and looks like a great program, and those that take advantage of it, we all want to do it for all the right reasons, but we're not naive in knowing that what if someone just said, I want a brand new front door that costs $10,000 and that's what I want to allocate my funding for? How does that get tempered or measured or policed in any way? So.
Yeah, that's a good question. Definitely something that we've discussed at length. So because of the performance threshold, you can't just enter the program for a brand new expensive door. You have to be taking on measures that are meeting a significant greenhouse gas emissions reduction. And then beyond that, there is a certain amount of flexibility for sure in terms of the different improvements that you want to piece together. And to an extent, we're not trying to apply very specific rules to individual measures, because we want people to feel motivated to take on bigger projects that have greater scope and greater GHG emissions reductions. If it was solely an air source heat pump program, I'm sure the uptake would not be as good as kind of incentivizing fuel switching, but also allowing some of those other improvements that do improve, the building's thermal envelope, and can also improve, the value, the aesthetics of the house, and also the experience and comfort that people have in their home.
Sure. Okay, good. Now, we talked about homes from 1991 or pre-1991. Why that particular year, and why that cutoff date? Where does that stem from?
Yeah, the 1991 date, it's not a strict cutoff, but just through different housing segment research, it's kind of the markets that have the greatest potential for GHG emissions. That was kind of seen as a threshold. So yeah, if you go through and you get the audit done, and there's potential for you to reduce your home's greenhouse gas emissions by 20% plus, and your home was built in 1992, you can totally participate in the program. But that's really the target of the program are those homes that really have the greatest potential to have significant reductions.
Okay. Well, and I'm going to guess that stems from, obviously, construction technology has changed, and as we all know, and all the new homes now are essentially Energy Star homes, or as energy efficient as they can be. Now, we're in the city of Kingston, an historical city, a lot of historical buildings in that 24,001 unit homes. How do we marry those two things together in terms of making it a better thermal envelope in an historical building that has limitations or restrictions in terms of what you can and can't do to it?
Yes. Yeah, go ahead, Soren, if you have one. Or?
No, that's an excellent question. I mean, there are definitely some cases that have been that we're starting to deal with heritage homes, and obviously there are specific rules working with heritage planning at the city that are required. But yeah, Cedric, you know more than I about the specifics.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had quite a few customers come in with exactly historic buildings, and there are definitely extra considerations that need to be taken when addressing a heritage building. Specifically the windows often need to be kind of custom made to resemble a heritage style, but you can still put in a more efficient window. Some of the insulation can be kind of tucked away. Even they do accept installing heat pumps and things like that. even in older homes that have basically radiators, the big old cast iron radiators. I know we had a lady, she absolutely wanted to keep those old cast iron radiators for aesthetic reasons. She loved the look. And there are technologies such as an air to water heat pump that can actually be used in conjunction and use all the existing radiators without having to remove them. So there are definitely technologies available that can integrate with heritage buildings. Unfortunately, they do come generally with a higher cost than a typical home.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So this isn't a pilot project in Kingston. What other municipalities are you aware of that this is started in or happening in? Where are we in relation to everyone else? So,
yeah, there are a large number of municipalities across Canada and many other jurisdictions across the world, and many in the States as well that are participating or launching similar programs. Better Homes Ottawa loan program launched last fall. They exhausted their funding in a matter of weeks. And just in Durham region, just recently, maybe a month and a half ago or so, they launched a program. So yeah, there are probably 20 or 30 municipalities that either have a program launched or are working on implementing a program that is similar. They all have, slightly different frameworks, slightly different components, maybe not like, so Ottawa, for example, they don't have a performance threshold, but it's the similar LIC model. But yeah, many municipalities are working on similar programs, which is great. And through FCM, Federation of Canadian Municipalities, there is a community of practice working group that works together to share best practices and present, where we will be presenting in the fall on kind of the early findings of our program. So there's definitely a lot of exciting things happening, and the potential for future development and growth of our program and other programs like this. Yeah.
So you talked to, you alluded to, Ottawa eating up their funding in a week. What is the cap then? When do the taps turn off, I guess? When?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're obviously tracking it closely. We've received a large number of applicants. So we have $10 million in loan capital, and then we have $5 million for incentives. So for the grant, the cash portion. And yeah, we've roughly allocated around $7 million so far through the applicants that have entered the program. But so much can change. The scope of projects can change over time, from the time that they apply, and this is the amount you're eligible for, to the amount they actually spend a year down the line when they close their project. So there's definitely still room to participate. People are welcome to apply. There is still funding available, but I can't say, no one can say how long it'll last.
Well, okay, yeah. So was this? So this was a federal government initiative initially with the grant monies that are being made available then, and they're sort of dispersing them through these different entities. Then am I understanding that correctly? Then
exactly, yeah. So it's a federal fund, and it's being dispersed through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, and then the city is it's a 20-80 split. For the program between what is coming from FCM and then our own money that we budgeted.
So, I mean, apart from me hiring you, Soren, to be my consultant to navigate the bureaucracy and the myriad of all these grants and funds, how does the layperson go about doing that efficiently, I guess, and trying to capitalize on everything they can capitalize? Because that's a challenging in itself, is it not? I mean,
it is. It can definitely be challenging, and that's obviously a huge focus of this program, is trying to make it as easy as it can be, because it is a complex process and it can be very intimidating. I mean, without any programs, just a home energy retrofit is intimidating. So you mix in multiple programs with different rules, different requirements, funding agreements, all these different things. There's a lot. So yeah, we have several different mechanisms. So I'm absolutely available always, and I'm always giving people a call. I think it's just easier to speak on the phone in a lot of cases and just get right down to it. But yeah, have a lot of conversations, but all the information is available on the program website. And then once you actually apply, you're sent a notice to proceed, and that outlines kind of next steps in the program. And then once you have completed your energy audit, we have the energy coach. So our energy coaching services really a golden star in this program, if you will, something that is really exciting and really there to help people every step of the way through the whole process. So Cedric is right now the sole energy coach, soon to be the chief or head energy coach, as we're bringing another coach on in early August just to keep up with demand. And Cedric can really speak about what he does on a one-on-one basis with so many different program participants.
Absolutely. So on the energy coaching service, I've seen a lot of these programs be around, and even as Sustainable Kingston, we worked through the Canada Greener Homes program for about a year before Better Homes Kingston launched. And a lot of people are, overwhelmed and intimidated and confused by all of these programs and all of these rules. And it's, very detailed. And I think what the energy coach really brings is bringing all of those together. So I not only do the coaching through the Better Homes Kingston program, but also through the Canada Greener Homes program or the Enbridge program or many other programs, and really tie them all together so they know, what upgrades should be applied under this program, what upgrades should be applied under a different program. And then a big part of it is also supporting them through the quoting process and dealing with contractors, because that's very challenging for a lot of homeowners, right? They're dealing with HVAC contractors that are talking about heat pumps. You can't know everything, right? And part of our process is, providing them with a contractor quote email template that really lists out all the questions that should be answered by the contractor. And then we will actually vet and review every single quote and make sure one meets all the program rules. So everything that's being quoted does in fact hit all the eligibility criteria. And two, that they're getting a good product at a fair price. So I think that's an important piece. And knowing that they have kind of some third party review process for the quoting process, for the whole quoting process, I think gives homeowners a lot of confidence and gives them that support to be confident before they've made any commitments, before they've spent any money. They know what the impacts are going to be. They know what they're being quoted is going to qualify, so they don't have any surprises down the line once they've already, dished out a whole bunch of money.
Right. And I'm going to guess there's got to be a check and balance in terms of, they're free to use the contractor of their choosing, right?
Correct.
But it's got to be someone who's licensed and is an actual contractor, not Uncle Fred that's got a pickup truck and a toolbox and stuff that's going to do it on the side, and then they'll do it for half the price and pocket the money or anything like that, right? Is that
absolutely? We would hope, and so we can't pre-qualify or guarantee, like as the city, we can't guarantee any of the work being done, but we do have a training program in partnership with Building Knowledge Canada. And Cedric is also part of the training. And so we go over not only the program rules and requirements, but also best practices when it comes to building science from kind of all the different perspectives, all the different contractors, not only related to, thermal envelope upgrades, HVAC, solar, all of these specifics, but also how to work together with your energy advisor, if you're a renovator, how to work with an HVAC contractor or a solar contractor to ensure that you're, working together and kind of meeting the best ends possible to the process. So we do have training that is free and is open to any contractors in the area. And through participating in the training, they can get essentially on a list. And that is provided to the homeowners. These people have completed our training, and then they can be contacted and engaged with by the homeowners directly.
Okay, good to know. Because I know, in my world, there's a lending program that a person buys a home that does need improvements or renovations called Purchase and Improve, and you can have those monies built into your mortgage. But you have to get proper quotes from the contractor, and they have to be proper contractors, right? Because you have to eliminate that potential for, because there's always sadly somebody out there that wants to circumvent the the rules or the game or whatever and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So now there's given the challenges we've talked about and that exist in the world and the delay in trying to get materials and things like that, from the time that a homeowner comes into the program and then I guess is there a timeline by which they have to complete everything, and then do you go back, Cedric, and ensure that everything's been done? What's the logistics in that part of it?
Yeah, for sure. So we're flexible. We are being flexible with people. We understand that there is unprecedented demand. And in many cases, people are having trouble getting quotes for all of the work that they're trying to undertake, but there's supposed to be around a year timeline to complete your project. But if something happens, you're unable to complete it within that timeline, you can apply for an extension. And that's not something that we're being really, really strict with. We're definitely trying to help enable people to complete these projects. Anything to add, Cedric?
Yeah, I think, being flexible with the timelines, being flexible with the contractors and their availability is definitely a key aspect. Like I said, windows, right? They're looking at probably a year to get windows and things like that. So a lot of that is built into it to ensure that people are comfortable with the process. Now, unfortunately, different programs have different timelines. So actually just in a meeting I was at this morning with a client, she's looking at going through the Enbridge program, and that one needs to be completed by December. So we're kind of prioritizing, hey, get this done so you can complete that program, and the rest you can get this done with a much more relaxed timeline. So definitely really working with the clients and the contractors to ensure that that's all those timelines are being met. Right.
So, I won't keep you much longer because I'm sure you guys are definitely busy given the demand, and I think we've touched on all the critical pieces here. And I actually went to the City of Kingston website and the link there, so it's pretty. I mean, there's some of it that's laid out there too, but Soren, you touched on it when we first started speaking, that this is sort of like a 20-year sort of vision, I guess, or whatever. So are we hoping that then, obviously, even if there's a change in government or anything, that this is something that's earmarked or key, that it's going to be designated, so that, because obviously it defeats the purpose of why we're doing this thing if it's one and done, or if it's over in 5 years or something like that, right? So
definitely. Yeah, for sure. So it's a greater vision than just the pilot. Right now it's focused on one-family homes. I mean, I'm not going to put any timelines on this, but eventually we would hope to expand into, multi-unit residential buildings of various sizes. We'll be obviously looking to other potential funding sources, whether that be, a third-party lender model, and applying some kind of administrative charge or low interest rate on these loans, or if there's other grant opportunities available. But definitely looking beyond the 5 years and iterating. We have made lots of little changes as the process has been unfolding. We're trying to make it more user-friendly and cut red tape where we can. Definitely looking to expand the program. I mean, in Ontario, home energy, specifically heating, is just a huge area of greenhouse gas emissions. And so it's also a huge opportunity to reduce those GHG emissions. And with our climate goals, both at the City of Kingston, as well as across Canada and really the world, we all need to be making kind of significant steps. And so this is a major focus, and I have no doubt it will continue to grow and unfold in the coming years.
I agree. And I mean, as someone has said recently, because it's time to stop talking about it and it's time to start doing it, right? I mean, it's everyone individually has to start doing something to reduce their carbon footprint, whatever way and whatever that means. And I dare say that maybe as this evolves in the future, in the fullness of time, maybe the private sector steps in, maybe window manufacturers participate. Maybe, I mean, you Cedric, you mentioned Enbridge. There's a program with Enbridge. I almost, when you started talking initially, I thought, my God, I'm surprised Enbridge hasn't lobbied the government to cancel this program, given the number of households in Canada that are on natural gas. But or the oil industry or the propane industry for that matter. But maybe the private sector does start to participate and offer some incentives as well to butter their bread, right?
Absolutely. I think it's really about having multiple programs, and as Soren mentioned at the beginning, stacking these programs is where it becomes really exciting. And anyone in the energy industry knows this is probably the best or the most money there's ever been available for home energy improvements ever in the past. There's been plenty of incentive programs in the past, but never have there been so many accessible at the same time. Again, that can be combined and stacked. And everyone says, oh, well, maybe I'll do this now and I'll do the rest later. And again, with the amount of money that's available on the table, now is the time. Like there's no better time than today to really dive in and go as deep as you can. And again, there's no beating zero interest, right? You never can. So you might as well go as deep as you can.
Well, 100%. And I mean, apart from that, we're doing it for the environment and the climate and everything else. At the end of the day, a homeowner is going to start realizing some significant value and savings in their energy costs, right? I mean, that's a bottom line, right? I mean, there's been a big talk about affordability and housing affordability and all the rest of it. So, do we have a percentage, or not to put you on the spot or anything, but what's an average household once they've gone through this retrofit or done what they can? Do we know what those savings can look like?
In terms of cost or greenhouse gas emissions?
Cost, yeah.
Yeah, in terms of cost, that one's a bit difficult to pinpoint. But I'd say on a conservative side, anywhere between the 15 to 20% range is definitely what is feasible in terms of cost. Now, the big one where, as I mentioned, I call this the magic combo, is installing a heat pump, which is shifting all of your natural gas usage to electricity, and then installing something like solar. Once you've already shifted all of your electricity usage, the solar will really knock it down by a significant amount. So if you're already at that position where you're installing solar panels specifically, that's where you can see big savings. And especially for anyone that's on propane or oil, installing a heat pump, there you can see probably 50 to 60% cost savings just from installing the heat pump itself. So unfortunately, the answer is it depends. Every house is different. Sure. But those are kind of some averages, I would say.
And if we do come back in a couple of years, once more people have gone through the program, we will be trying to measure and verify those cost savings and GHG savings through our utility bill analysis that is part of the program. So we should have some data and some real answers on that in the future.
And then I don't want to upset anybody at Utilities Kingston. If we can find a way to lessen the water and sewer delivery charges and stuff like that, that would be a bonus too. I'm not going to lie to you. If you were talking about increases lately in utility costs, but right. Well, listen, gentlemen, I really appreciate you taking the time. I think this has been super informative, and obviously you're already seeing the interest and you're being inundated with calls and inquiries. So that's great. And you know what? We will be flagging this to do a revisit just to see how this is all falling out and where we go from here. So I wish you every success in administering the program and doing all that you do. And good luck with everything. So
thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
All right. You're very welcome. Have a great day, guys.